To prepare your workshop, begin by creating a folder on the Writing Fellows site that's named according to our convention: course, number, teacher. Next, go ahead and put in your welcome message. It will always be the first thread. Now, examine the teacher's assignment directions for an overview of the kind of writing experience that students are in for. In the case of Gilpatrick's 101S class, we see right away that it's an essay containing research, so we know that we will need threads on how to integrate sources, how to cite those sources, and how to deploy the citation style that the teacher wants, which in this case is APA. Scrolling down the list of assignment instructions, we see that students are given two choices for topics to write about and must choose one of those two. So we note that we're going to want to emphasize in the assignment analysis thread that choice. The assignment analysis thread is arguably the most important thread in the workshop. It sets the stage for all of the work that will be done in the workshop. There are two basic ways to get a good assignment analysis thread. First, you can find another writing fellow who has taught this exact assignment before and take a look at his or her assignment analysis thread to see if it's something that you can use, or at least use it as a springboard. In this case, we go to the Writing Fellows site and we click on the various Writing Fellows and look for any teaching of 101S. Now, when we do find a Writing Fellow that has prepared a 101S workshop before, we see that it isn't the same assignment. So we're going to have to go to our second option. The second way to get a good assignment analysis thread is to design your own. You simply download and open an assignment analysis thread from Generics and open it in Composer. You keep what you need and delete what you don't need. Then you take the teacher's assignment directions, copy those directions into a simple text document. Big note here, never copy directly from Word into Composer. Once you have the directions in a simple text document, you can modify them in Composer as you need to make things clearer. This is also on the assignment analysis thread. It's where I can be of help. If you want me to do an assignment analysis thread for a class, all you have to do is ask. Give me the directions and I'll do it for you. In this class, I have already done an assignment analysis thread for you, and here you're seeing it. Notice that I divided up the long pages of directions given by the teacher. I simplified the wording and I made use of lists and other formatting tools so that the assignment directions would be clearer for the students. Another important thing to do is to provide the student a model outline that answers all of the assignment requirements. We have a motto: if you can outline it, you can write it. So we have students do a quick skeleton outline of any essay that they have to write in order to demonstrate they understand the structure of the assignment. They can change the outline later, but at first we at least want to know they understand everything the instructor is asking for. Now here you see that I have produced model outlines based upon the assignment instructions. One for the argument, choice, and the other for the synthesis, or what she calls the expository essay choice. Once you have the assignment analysis thread done, you're basically finished, except for selecting the pre-done threads that have students demonstrate the basic skills that are required by the assignment as you analyzed it. Since this is a research paper, students obviously are going to need to write an effective thesis. So we grab the thesis thread, and we know that the student will have to respond to this thread with his or her own thesis. Now, the student must also write a solid introduction paragraph. The teacher mentions this specifically in her assignment directions. So we grab that thread and put it in the folder. And we know that the student will respond to this thread with a draft of their introduction paragraph. Now, the teacher makes a really big deal in her directions about using peer-reviewed journals. So we get that thread that teaches students the difference between magazines and journals, and we put that in there as a read thread. And since all the body paragraphs must contain sources, we will need to put in the source use threads. There are also threads on paraphrasing and plagiarism, but hold off on those unless the class demonstrates a need for them. Otherwise, once you get over 6 or 8 threads in a workshop, unless it's a special workshop, that can be a little overwhelming for the students. Now, the students are ready to submit a body paragraph that uses those sources. So we go to generics, we grab the body paragraph thread. Most of all, we open it up and make sure it says at the bottom, be sure to integrate sources with citations into this body paragraph. This teacher also emphasizes the conclusion. Many teachers don't, so we better grab the conclusion thread from generics and put it in our folder as well. Now, all we need to do to finish up our folder to make it complete is to add the APA threads on manuscript formatting and the reference list. I like students to use the Bedford Bibliographer, so I always make sure that the APA references thread includes that video. Now that should do it for setting up your folder on the Writing Fellows site. It's full, and now we need to upload it in Gilpatrick's classroom wherever she wants it. So you do need to find out where the instructor wants you to put the workshop. The two basic options are one in between two of her modules that teach or assign the particular paper you're working on, or you can put it at the end of the root folder or the content folder, as it's sometimes called. Now, since this paper is due around week 6, let's begin by putting our workshop module near there. You simply click it and drag it up until you get a solid line. This module is going to be unpublished, and so if the teacher wants it moved, there's no problem in moving it. Now, in the classroom, this Effective Writing Center module doesn't have to be that name. It can be the research paper workshop, for example. But once it's created and it's placed, it does have to be populated. And this is easy to do. I always follow, and I recommend that you follow, at least to begin with, what's called the read-respond approach. So first I click on New, then Upload File. And the easiest way to upload file on this LMS is to simply click and drag it. And you'll see that Desire to Learn, or Leo, uploads the file. Once the file is in, click on it and check it over. And then change the title by putting the word read : in front of it. And that tells the student that all they have to do for this file, or this thread, is to read it. Now next, I create a new discussion board for that thread's particular assignment that they're going to turn in for you to look over. To do this, you go to New again and select Discussion Board. Now in Desire to Learn, or Leo, discussion boards have to be assigned to a forum. So your next step, and you only have to do this once, is to create a new forum just for the EWC workshop responses. So you create a new forum entitled Effective Writing Center Workshop, or whatever your workshop is called. Then, after the forum is created, give the DB a specific name. Be sure to put respond : in front of it. For example, respond : please post thesis here. Then you select EWC forum from the drop-down menu and provide a brief description or instructions. Now you see the basic structure for the workshop being created. Students will read a thread and then respond to a thread on a particular discussion board. Okay, the next thread to go in is the introduction paragraph. We click and drag it in, let it upload, then check it, and be sure to rename it with read : Next, we create a response DB for this thread in the same way we did for the one for the thesis. Post your introductory paragraph here. Once we've got that set up, we can go back and we see the structure of the workshop becoming even more clear. The next few threads are read-only, so let's go ahead and get those in. These threads give students background on how to use sources, how to cite sources, that kind of thing. And that's the procedure for adding the rest of the threads. Go ahead and do that now. Some will be read-only. Some will have response DBs that you have to create and describe. Finally, be sure that all the threads and DBs are set to draft status. And they shouldn't be taken off draft status until you've notified the teacher that they've been posted and that you're awaiting her or his approval or instructions for revising them, which you're happy to do, you need to say. And then once you get that approval, then you can go back and set all the threads to published. And then once the workshop begins, All you need to do is monitor the discussion board threads every 24 hours and respond to those students who need to be responded to. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.